Why money feels like a game, and most people lose. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get ahead with money so easily, while others work hard for years and still feel financially stuck? They wake up early, they work long hours, they stay responsible, they try their best, and yet, every month feels like survival. Bills, stress, unexpected expenses. The constant feeling that no matter how hard they work, it is never enough. At the same time, there are people around them who seem calm, not lucky, not magical, just financially stable. They handle emergencies without panic. They make decisions without fear. They live with a kind of quiet confidence, and you start asking, what do they know that others do not? Same city, same economy, sometimes even the same salary, but completely different results. One person builds peace. The other builds pressure. One moves forward, the other keeps starting over. Why? Because money does not behave the way most people think it does. Most people believe money is simple: work hard, earn more, life gets better. That sounds logical. It sounds fair. It sounds like the kind of advice everyone repeats. And honestly, it feels true at first. When life gets expensive, more income feels like the obvious answer. A better job, a bigger paycheck, a promotion, a side business, more money, problem solved. But reality says something different. There are people with high salaries who are drowning in debt. There are people with average incomes who live with calm and security. There are people who look rich but feel trapped. And there are people who look ordinary but quietly build freedom. That is when you realize something important. Money feels like a game, and most people are playing it without knowing the rules. They think effort is enough. But in every game, effort without strategy leads to frustration. Imagine playing chess without understanding how the pieces move. Imagine entering a football match without knowing the rules. You can run harder, try longer, want it more, push yourself every day. But if you do not understand the system, you still lose. Money works the same way. It has rules, invisible rules. Rules about spending, rules about saving, rules about debt, rules about investing, rules about patience, rules about self-control. And the people who learn those rules early do not just make more money. They make better decisions. They avoid unnecessary mistakes. They build security faster. They protect their future quietly, without drama, without showing off. This video is not about getting rich fast. It is not about fake luxury. It is not about overnight success. It is not about pretending to be successful. This is about understanding the money game before life becomes more expensive. Because your 20s and 30s are where financial habits become your future. These are the years when one smart decision can protect the next 10 years. And one careless habit can create stress that follows you for decades. A bad loan at 24 can still hurt at 34. A smart investment at 27 can create peace at 40. That is how powerful these years really are. This is about learning how money actually works, so you stop feeling confused, stop feeling behind. Stop feeling like no matter how hard you work, it is never enough, because once you understand the game, you stop chasing money blindly and start building financial control. You stop reacting. You start planning. You stop surviving. You start building. Because money is not only about earning, it is about understanding. And once you understand the rules, everything changes. So today, we are going to talk about why money feels like a game and why most people lose. More importantly, how you can stop losing and start building peace. Let's start with the real problem. Most people think they have a money problem, but in reality, they have a financial education problem. They believe the issue is simple. I just need to earn more. And yes, sometimes income matters, but for many people, the deeper problem is not income. It is understanding. They earn money, but they do not know how to manage it. They work hard, but they do not know how to keep what they earn. They believe effort alone will solve financial stress, but money does not reward effort alone. It rewards awareness. It rewards discipline. It rewards decisions. And this is where most people get trapped. You get your first real paycheck. Maybe it is your first job after graduation. Maybe it is your first stable income. Maybe it is the first time you feel financially independent, and that moment feels powerful. For the first time, you can buy what you want. You can upgrade your life. You can reward yourself. You can finally feel like your hard work means something. And honestly, that feeling is normal. After years of studying, stress, and waiting, you want visible proof of progress. So naturally, you start spending. A better phone, better clothes, food delivery, weekend dinners, transportation upgrades, monthly subscriptions, convenience, comfort, little rewards. Nothing feels dangerous. In fact, it all feels normal. And that is exactly why it becomes dangerous. Because financial problems rarely begin with one huge mistake. They begin with small repeated habits. Daily spending, silent spending, emotional spending, lifestyle, inflation. The belief that, I deserve this, without asking, can I sustain this? This is how financial pressure grows. Quietly, slowly, without warning, as income rises. Expenses rise faster. Not because life became harder, but because your definition of normal changed. What once felt like luxury starts feeling necessary. What once felt special becomes expected. And suddenly, even with a better salary, you still feel broke. That creates confusion. People start asking, how am I making more money, but feeling less secure? Because salary increased, but skill did not. No budgeting, no savings system, no emergency fund. No investment habits, no understanding of debt, no long-term thinking, just money, entering and disappearing. Fast, silent, uncontrolled. That is like trying to fill a bucket with holes at the bottom. You keep pouring, you keep trying, you keep working harder. But the bucket never fills. That is what happens when income grows without financial skill. The problem is not effort. The problem is leakage. And unless you fix the leaks, more money will not solve it. It will only make the problem bigger. And society makes this worse. Because people are taught to show success, not build security. Social media rewards appearance, vacations, cars, luxury, perfect lifestyles, expensive routines, beautiful pictures. Nobody posts discipline. Nobody uploads savings plans. Nobody celebrates saying no. Nobody shows the quiet work of building stability. People show purchases, not preparation. So people start confusing looking rich with being financially secure. But those are completely different things. Looking rich is public. Being secure is private. One is performance, the other is peace. One needs attention, the other needs discipline, and too many people sacrifice peace to protect performance. They spend money they do not have to maintain an image they do not even enjoy. That is exhausting and expensive. This is why so many smart, hardworking people still struggle financially. Not because they are lazy. Not because they are irresponsible, but because nobody taught them the rules. They were taught how to earn, but not how to manage. They were taught ambition, but not financial discipline. They were told to work hard, but never taught how to make that work meaningful. Without financial skill, income becomes temporary. With financial skill, income becomes freedom. That is the real problem, not lack of money. Lack of financial literacy, because money is not just something you earn. It is something you learn, and once you understand that, the game changes. That is where winning begins. One of the biggest financial lies people believe is this: if I earn more money, everything will finally get better. It sounds reasonable, it sounds logical. And honestly, for a while, it feels true. When you are financially stressed, more income feels like the perfect answer. You imagine a better salary, a better job, a promotion, a bigger business, a side income, and you think, once I reach that level, I'll finally feel secure. But here is the truth most people discover too late. Income alone does not create wealth. Because wealth is not about how much money comes in, it is about how much stays. There are people earning high salaries who are deeply stressed. From the outside, they look successful. Nice clothes, nice phone, nice car, expensive lifestyle, perfect social media photos. Everything looks impressive. But behind that image, credit card debt, loan payments, constant financial pressure, no real savings, private anxiety. They earn more, but they worry more. And there are also people earning average salaries who sleep peacefully. No panic, no hidden stress, no constant fear of emergencies, no financial chaos. Why? Because financial strength is not built by income. It is built by habits. Let me explain it simply. Imagine two people. Person A earns $1,000 a month and spends $950. Person B earns $600 a month and saves $250 consistently. Who is stronger financially? Most people look at person A and assume success. Higher income, better lifestyle, more visible comfort. But real strength belongs to person B, because money is not about appearance, it is about margin. The gap between what you earn and what you spend, that gap is where freedom begins. If there is no gap, there is no growth, no savings, no investment, no protection, no options, only pressure. And pressure makes life expensive. This is why some people stay financially stuck, even after salary increases. Every time income rises, expenses rise faster. A bigger apartment, a newer phone, a more expensive routine, a lifestyle they feel pressured to maintain. And slowly, their financial life becomes heavier. Not better. More money, less peace. Because income without discipline becomes a trap. Not a solution. Ask yourself one honest question. If your income stopped today, how many months could you survive? Not how confident you feel. Not how successful you look. How many months? That answer tells the truth. That answer shows your real financial position. Because true wealth is not flashy, it is quiet, it looks like options. The ability to say no. The ability to leave a bad job. The ability to handle emergencies calmly. The ability to rest without fear. That is wealth. Not status, not appearance, not temporary luxury. Many people spend years chasing a bigger paycheck, without fixing the real issue. But if spending is uncontrolled, more income only creates bigger mistakes. You do not need to become obsessed with earning. You need to become intentional with keeping. Protecting money is often more powerful than chasing more of it, because the first step to financial freedom is not becoming rich. It is becoming stable, and stability begins with understanding this rule. Income can help you. But income alone will never save you. Only financial behavior can do that. That is rule number 1. And once you understand it, you stop asking, how can I earn more, and start asking, how can I build something that lasts? One of the most common things people say about money is this: I'll start saving. When I have extra money, it sounds responsible, it sounds practical. It sounds like a smart plan, but for most people, that extra money never comes, because spending always finds a reason. There is always something to buy, something to replace, something to repair, something to celebrate, something to justify, and because of that, saving becomes something people keep postponing. Not because they do not care, but because they treat saving like whatever happens at the end. That is the mistake. Saving should never be the last step. It should be the first one. This is one of the most important money rules you will ever learn. Save first, spend second, not the other way around. Most people do the opposite. They get paid, they spend on bills, they spend on comfort, they spend on convenience, they spend on entertainment, they spend on emotional rewards. And then, at the end of the month, they check what is left, usually nothing. Then they say, next month, I'll save. Don't. Next month becomes next year. That cycle repeats for years. Not because income is always too small, but because the system is wrong. Saving cannot depend on leftovers, because leftovers are unreliable. Saving must be intentional. A decision, a system, a priority. The moment income arrives, a percentage should move immediately to savings, before unnecessary spending, before lifestyle upgrades, before temporary comfort, automatically, without debate, without waiting for motivation, because discipline works best when it becomes a system, not a daily argument with yourself. People often believe saving is only meaningful if the amount is large. That is not true. Even small consistency matters. 5% matters. 10% matters. A small beginning matters. Because saving is not about amount first, it is about identity. It teaches your mind something powerful. I protect my future. That mindset changes behavior, and behavior changes life. Someone who saves regularly starts thinking differently. They pause before spending. They ask better questions. Do I need this? Will this matter next month? Am I buying value or just temporary emotion? That awareness creates strength. Because most bad financial decisions are emotional, we spend when we are tired, we spend when we are stressed, we spend when we are bored, we spend when we want comfort. We spend when we want to feel successful. That is human, but emotional spending is expensive. And without awareness, it becomes automatic. Saving interrupts that pattern. It creates space between emotion and decision. That space protects your future. Many people wait for motivation to save. But motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel disciplined. Some days you do not. That is normal. This is why systems matter more than feelings. Automatic transfers, separate savings accounts, clear monthly targets. Simple budgeting, structure, beats motivation. Always, and here is another truth many people avoid. If you cannot manage a small amount wisely, a larger amount will not magically fix the problem. More income without better habits just makes mistakes. Bigger money becomes louder, but behavior stays the same. That is why learning to save early matters so much. It trains discipline before life becomes more expensive, because responsibilities grow, family, pressure, career stress, unexpected emergencies. Life does not become cheaper with time. It becomes heavier, and people who never build saving habits early often feel trapped later. Not because they are weak, but because habits were never built. Saving is not about becoming obsessed with money. It is about reducing fear. It is about creating options. The option to say no. The option to leave a bad job. The option to handle emergencies calmly. The option to make decisions from logic not desperation. That is power. That is freedom. And freedom rarely begins with one big financial moment. It begins with small repeated decisions. Quietly, month after month, year after year. That is how real security is built, not through luck, through consistency. That is rule number 2. Saving is not what you do when everything is perfect. Saving is what protects you when life is not perfect. It is not a leftover, it is a habit, and habits shape your future. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is believing that emergencies are rare. They think, that probably won't happen to me, or I'll deal with it when it comes. It sounds confident, but it is dangerous. Because life does not work that way. Unexpected expenses are not surprises, they are guarantees. At some point, something will happen. A medical bill, a family emergency, a broken phone, a car repair, a sudden move, a job loss, an urgent responsibility, an economic problem. Life will test your financial stability. Not maybe, definitely. The question is never if. The question is always when, and when that moment comes. Your preparation decides your stress, not your confidence. Not your job title, not your salary. Preparation. This is why emergency funds matter. An emergency fund is not just money sitting in a bank account. It is emotional stability. It is protection. It is breathing room. It gives you time to think instead of forcing you to panic. And that difference changes everything. Because without savings every problem becomes urgent, and urgency creates bad decisions. You borrow money too quickly, you accept bad debt, you stay in unhealthy situations because leaving feels impossible. You make decisions from fear, not from logic. That is expensive. Financially, emotionally, mentally, fear makes people agree to things they would normally reject. Bad loans, toxic jobs, unfair opportunities, relationships built on dependence. Because when survival feels threatened, peace becomes secondary. That is why emergency savings are not just about money. They protect your dignity. They protect your ability to choose. Imagine losing your job tomorrow. Would your life collapse immediately? Or would you have enough breathing room to recover calmly? That answer matters, because financial freedom does not begin with luxury. It begins with protection. Most people want visible rewards first. A better phone, a better lifestyle, a better car, visible success. Things people can notice, but peace is invisible. And because peace is invisible, people delay it. They choose appearance over protection, until life forces them to understand which one matters more. The truth is, luxury feels good, security feels powerful, and power lasts longer. An emergency fund is your first layer of defense. It tells life, I am not unprepared. That confidence matters. It changes how you think, it changes how you move, it changes how you respond to problems. Instead of panic, you have options. Instead of fear, you have time. And time is one of the most valuable financial assets a person can have. So where should you start? Start small. Do not make the mistake of thinking, I need a huge amount first. That mindset delays action. Start with 1 month of basic living expenses. Rent, food, transportation, essentials, not luxury. Protection, then work toward 3 months, then 6. The goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. Even a small emergency fund changes your mindset, because savings create a new kind of confidence. You stop feeling trapped. You stop feeling like one bad week could destroy everything. You stop living with silent financial fear, and that fear affects more than money. It affects your confidence, your focus, your relationships, your ability to rest. People talk a lot about success, but peace is often more valuable than success. Peace lets you sleep. Peace lets you think clearly. Peace lets you say no to bad opportunities. Peace protects your self-respect and emergency funds by peace, not status, not applause. Peace. That is why this rule matters so much, because money is not only about growth, it is also about protection. Building wealth is important, but protecting yourself comes first. A strong financial life is not built by optimism alone, it is built by preparation. Hope is good, preparation is better. That is rule number 3. Emergency funds buy peace, and peace is one of the smartest investments you will ever make. Debt is one of the most misunderstood parts of money. Some people believe all debt is bad. Others treat debt like it does not matter. Both views are dangerous, because debt itself is not the real problem. The real problem is how debt is used. Debt is a tool, and like any tool, it can help you or it can hurt you. A knife can prepare food, or it can cause damage. Debt works the same way. Used with intention, it can create opportunity. Used carelessly, it becomes a trap. The danger is not debt. The danger is unconscious debt. The danger is unconscious debt. Debt taken without thinking. Debt created by emotion. Debt driven by the need to impress others. That kind of debt is expensive, because it steals your future to satisfy your present. Let's be honest. Many people do not go into debt for survival. They go into debt for appearance. A better phone they cannot afford. Clothes bought for approval. Luxury purchases for validation. A lifestyle designed for social media. Borrowed money used to create the image of success. That is one of the fastest ways to stay financially stuck. Buying things you cannot afford to impress people who are not paying your bills is not confidence. It is financial self-destruction. And the worst part, it often looks normal, because modern culture rewards appearance. People notice visible success. They notice expensive cars, perfect vacations, luxury brands, beautiful lifestyles. No one notices the person quietly paying off debt. No one celebrates the person choosing discipline. Quiet responsibility rarely gets applause, but it creates freedom, and freedom matters more. Before taking on any debt, ask one simple question: will this create value, or only temporary pleasure? Or only temporary pleasure? That question can protect your future. Debt used for education, skills, business growth, or something that increases long-term value can be useful. It can create opportunities. It can increase earning power. It can build something meaningful. That is very different from debt used for image. Debt for appearance creates pressure. Debt for growth creates possibility. Learn that difference early, because debt does not only affect your wallet, it affects your choices. Every monthly payment is future income already gone. Every unnecessary loan reduces your freedom. You stay longer in jobs you hate. You delay important life decisions. You tolerate stress because financial pressure leaves no room to move. That is the hidden cost. Not just money, freedom. And freedom is expensive too. Rebuild. This is why discipline matters more than desire. Just because you can borrow money does not mean you should. Access is not permission. Approval is not affordability. A bank saying yes does not mean it is wise. Only because something is possible does not mean it is responsible. Financial maturity means learning to pause, to ask, do I really need this? Can I actually afford this? Will this still matter next year? Or am I just trying to feel better today? That honesty is powerful, because most bad debt does not begin with necessity. It begins with impatience. People want the reward now. They want the lifestyle now. They want the feeling now, and they agree to years of pressure for moments of satisfaction. That trade is rarely worth it. Short-term pleasure, long-term stress. That is not success, that is delayed regret. Debt should support your future, not quietly destroy it. That is the rule. Use debt as a tool. Never let it become your trap. Because financial freedom is not only about earning more, sometimes it is simply about owing less. Sometimes, peace comes from what you no longer carry. That is rule number 4. Debt can be a tool, or a trap. And the earlier you understand that the lighter your future becomes. When people hear the word investing, many of them immediately feel uncomfortable. They imagine complicated charts. They imagine experts speaking in difficult financial language. They imagine risk, loss, confusion. And because of that fear, they tell themselves, I'll start later, when I have more money, when I understand everything. When the timing feels right, it sounds responsible. It sounds careful, but most of the time, it is just fear wearing the mask of logic. Because here is the truth. Investing is not for experts, it is for patient people. You do not need to be a financial genius. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need a huge amount of money. What you need, most is time. Because the greatest advantage in investing is not intelligence, it is time. Time allows money to grow quietly. Time allows small actions to become powerful results. Time allows compound growth to work. And compound growth is one of the most important financial forces you will ever understand. At first, it looks small, almost disappointing. You save a little, you invest a little. Months pass, and it feels like nothing changed. That is where most people quit. Because people love immediate results. We want proof. We want fast progress. We want visible success. But investing does not reward speed. It rewards consistency. Think of planting a tree. In the beginning, it feels slow. You water it, you protect it, and for a long time, it looks like nothing is happening. Just soil, just patience, just quiet effort. But underground roots are growing. Strength is building. And one day, the growth becomes visible. That is how investing works. Slow, quiet, powerful. Most people say, I'll invest when I earn more, but waiting is expensive. Because starting late costs more than starting small. Someone who starts investing a small amount at 25 often becomes stronger financially than someone who starts a much larger amount at 35. Not because they are smarter, Because they started earlier, time did the heavy lifting. That is the hidden advantage. Small amounts, invested consistently, over many years, become powerful. Not because of luck, because of repetition, because of discipline, because of patience. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. You do not need one big heroic financial move, you need small repeated discipline, month after month, year after year, quietly. That is how wealth is built. Most people delay investing because they believe they need certainty, but certainty does not exist. Even doing nothing has risk. Keeping all your money still has consequences too. Inflation rises, time passes, opportunities disappear. Avoiding investment is still a financial decision, and often, it is the more expensive one. The goal is not perfection. The goal is participation, learning, starting, improving. You do not need to know everything today. You just need to begin. Responsibly, read, learn, ask questions, understand where your money goes. Build slowly, but do not let fear turn into permanent delay, because later becomes next year becomes 5 years, and 5 years becomes regret. Many people do not regret starting too early, they regret waiting too long. That feeling is painful, especially when you realize time was the one thing you could never recover. This is why investing is not really about money first, it is about behavior, patience, discipline, long-term thinking, trusting small progress. That mindset changes everything. Because wealth is rarely built in dramatic moments, it is built in ordinary months, quiet deposits, repeated habits, consistent choices. That is the real secret. Not intelligence, not luck, time. That is rule number 5. Start small, start wisely, but most importantly, start.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.